On October 31st, we talked to Michelle Beningo about the NC State Science House, where she works, and the School of Science and Math, where she went to middle school.
I am the director of the Mountain Office of the Science House, which means that I work with 18 school systems in our mountain area. And I do all kinds of sciencey and STEM-related professional development for teachers and student programs. And I loan equipment out to schools so that they can use 21st century technologies without having to purchase it themselves. So they get to use the things that they might use in the university setting while they're still in schools without the schools having to pay for it. And so we hope to continue to provide education for K-12 students and teachers, provide innovative resources, and cultivate the STEM pipeline so that we can help students plug in and have STEM careers.
She then talked about the challenges in her school life.
We were in chemistry, and I really had a hard time in that chemistry class because that teacher must have had a little bit of something against those of us that were from the mountains, and certainly with those of us who had a thicker accent, but he really gave me a hard time. He said, okay, everybody, you need to get an Erlenmeyer and such and such and such and such, and he listed a few items and bring them to the lab station. And it was that time when I was like, oh, okay, well, I gotta find Earl and Meyer. And I thought they were people. I went home and she refused to come back. So it was just hard being in that class. But then I was able to go to English, and I had a totally different experience in English. The English teacher loved my accent, and we were reading Zora Neale Hurston's Their Eyes Were Watching God. And it's written in the vernacular of African Americans at that time. And so the dialect was very pronounced in the writing. And so many of the students that were in my class, they couldn't understand the way it was written because it was written like it would be said. And so she would have me read it out loud. And with my accent, it made sense to everybody. As soon as I read it out loud, they're like, oh, that's what that means. And so she kind of highlighted me being a female and from the mountains, and it was a positive, versus the next class I would go in, I would be ridiculed for being a female and from the mountains. I had another opportunity to have a bit of discrimination thrown my way. I have organized a project for the state of North Carolina called Redefining Innovative Schools Through Sustained STEM Experiences. Long title, we call it RISE for short. And it's a very innovative project, and schools had to apply to be accepted into this program. But once I started teaching, I had two schools that kind of turned off of anything I said, and I heard them say, well, we don't need to listen to anything that woman from the mountains has to say because of my accent. But I had another person working with me who was not from the mountains and was a male. And they responded very well to him, surprisingly, even though I was giving him a script.
While talking to Michelle, we learned about the obstacles put in place against people based on gender and social class. It's clear that her story is one of resilience. We would like to thank Michelle for her time and thank you for watching.